All right, test 1, 2, checks this thing working. I'm gonna turn my music down a little bit just to make sure everything sounds good. Cool, seems like we are working. Let me turn the camera on. Boom. Production value. Trying to level this channel up. And so that way, if you happen to be waiting for the stream to start, now you have a little bit of background music. That was a track I wrote quite a long time ago, but I still really like it. How is everybody doing today? Van, seems like you're doing quite well. Welcome to the Friday feedback stream. For those of you who are joining us perhaps for the first time and you would like to share some music, what I'm going to do is put a link in the chat, and then I'm going to pin it to the top of the chat to a Google spreadsheet and pin that up there. So if you would like to send me a track to get feedback on it, follow that link. It'll take you to a spreadsheet. You just put in the link to wherever I can stream it, preferably SoundCloud or wherever. I don't really care as long as I can just stream it. And I basically go top to bottom, kind of in chronological order, and try to get through as many of these tracks as possible. Usually I get through all of them. Couple general things that I like to point out at the start of each one of these Friday streams. Number one, I am generally trying to look for original tracks, so no remixes or things like that, partially just because of copyright stuff. I don't want to get copyright flagged or anything like that. It's kind of a pain to deal with. And number two, if you're remixing something that I don't know, it's hard for me to tell what's a remix and what's not a remix. So original tracks are definitely preferable. What's up, Tanny? Welcome back. On top of that, I would prefer works in progress. So if you have a song that you're working on that's not quite finished, that's usually the perfect time to send it in and we can take a listen to it. If you have something that you've already released, that's fine. I'll take a listen to it and I'll give feedback, but odds are you're probably not going to go back to a track that's already released and change it up. But you're more than welcome to share whatever you want, whatever stage you are in the process of making that song. Other than that, if you are sharing a track, number one, only one track at a time. I see a couple people in the spreadsheet already have multiple tracks. Van, I'm looking at you. I will most likely have time at the end to go through more than one track per person, depending on how many people send me tracks. But I only do one track per person at first, and if we get through everything and we still got time, I'll get through multiple tracks. That's usually not a big deal. And then lastly, if you are going to be sending a track, ideally, this is not just a one-way street where it's me just kind of talking into the screen. It's a conversation between all of us. So you guys in chat, if you're sharing something, ideally, I'd like you to be participating in the conversation, giving other people feedback, learning from each other, working together. That's really kind of the whole point of the stream more than anything else. Nice. So yeah, Van has an old track from 30 years ago that he's remastering, which I'm excited to hear. I'm gonna hear what you've done to it to kind of update it. Other than that, other kind of like housekeeping stuff before we really kind of get into it. We do a sample pack challenge. This is the second one we've done in a row, where I just released a sample pack and people can make tracks using that sample pack. And those are due the last Friday of each month, which is today. So if you made something with the sample pack, I'm going to get through those first. I think right now I've only got a couple, but I'm going to try to get through this first, and then I'm going to be hitting the spreadsheet and getting through everything on the spreadsheet. Again, kind of going chronologically, one person at a time. Cool. I think that's all the stuff, all the things I meant to say before we get started. So I got one track here. Let me see who sent me this track. Got to go through all the Google Forms. number 1. All right, this is a track from Love, who has been sending me stuff pretty regularly and has really dope tracks. So I'm stoked to hear what this sounds like. No worry, Tammy. I'll be here for a while. So you pop back in whenever you want, and I'll see you back soon. So this is one of the tracks from the sample pack challenge from Love. So we're gonna go ahead and check this one out first. And let me know if the audio is too loud or too quiet or anything. I make sure the levels are correct.
Catalytic, keeping my distance. I could go ballistic, but I know I'm tripping. Feeling like I'm missing motions in my system, motion in my vision. I could use some wisdom. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Don't you know, don't you know? Yeah. I feel like I'm giving my life.
What's up, Janef? Welcome back. Nice. That's super cool. I want more. I want to hear more of this track. It seems like a really solid foundation. It's got a really interesting mix of a lot of different styles, which is something I've noticed you do quite a bit, where it's got a little bit of this like hip hop kind of thing, but you also like to dabble in other genres and mixing other things in here. So the bass line has this very kind of like techno-y, housey kind of thing to it. And then the vocals have this kind of hip hop, but at the same time also kind of like rock kind of thing going on. So it's like you're dipping your toes in a bunch of different pools of genres, and it ends up coming up with something really interesting, which I really like that. What's up, Zach? Welcome. So as far as like feedback here, I do feel like the drums could use a little bit of love. I feel like the kick felt a little bit weak and just not quite as powerful as I wanted it to be in something like this. So I think bumping up the volume on that. And then I feel like the snare had a little bit too much reverb for my liking. It had like a very like 80s pop music amount of reverb on the snare, which I felt like was a little bit too much. But if that's a stylistic choice you want to stick with, go for it. It sounded like there's a interesting background vocal sample in this area. Might have been right in here. What's up, love? We just listened to your track. Yeah, the background vocal sample here I love. Mr. Max Savage, welcome. I'm just gonna let this play through again because this is dope.
Going catalytic, keeping my distance. I could go ballistic, but I know I'm tripping. Feeling like I'm missing motions in my system, motion in my vision. I could use some wisdom. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Don't you know, don't you know? Yeah. I feel like I'm giving my life.
Yeah, you can definitely tell you made it in a crunch just because in terms of how the arrangement is built, but in terms of how it sounds, it sounds great. I think the vocals sounded really, really well done. And again, like have this interesting like kind of hip hop, but also kind of rock and roll vibe, but not in like a cheesy way. Like it works together really well. And I love what you did with the hi-hats. I think the hi-hats really kind of give it that hip hop feel, even though nothing else really has that kind of hip hop feel. Yeah, the vocals sound really solid. The amount of processing you do in the vocals in an hour, they sound really clean and they sound really cool. But yeah, I definitely want to hear more of this and kind of see where you take it if you keep working on this. Um, like, what does that arrangement look like? Do you have just like a couple more verses in there, like a verse chorus kind of set up, or do you, lean heavier into the electronic music side? Do you lean heavier into the the vocals? Like, I'm curious to hear where you'd go with it. Um, but yeah, other than that, I think it sounds really cool. I think the intro, I kind of want some more elements from the intro, like these kind of noisy guys. I kind of want them to kind of exist a little bit more in other parts of the song. If you were to like build out this arrangement a little bit more, um, kind of like let them fit together a little more. Maybe some of like the piano parts could make more of a presence later on in the song. But yeah, this is a super cool track. Yeah, there's definitely like an interesting experiment. Anybody else got any thoughts, comments, questions, ideas, feedback? I'm gonna listen to the verse one more time just so people can hear it again because it's pretty short.
Going catalytic, keeping my distance. I could go ballistic, but I know I'm tripping. Feeling like I'm missing motions in my system, motion in my vision. I could use some wisdom. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Don't you know, don't you know? Yeah. I feel like I'm giving my life.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of room here for like you to really bring up the energy level and have like a big, huge, not necessarily drop, but a big kind of crescendo kind of thing with like some really intense vocals going on later on in the song, if you wanted to go that route. Uh, yeah, awesome. I appreciate you cranking this out in an hour. I think it sounds really good. Also, I do just want to mention, I see there's more people joining us. If you would like to share a track, there is a spreadsheet that is pinned up at the top of the chat. You can go in there and follow that link and then put in a link to your own song. And I will be kind of going through these one at a time. Max, if you're still out there, I want to hear something you're working on. Show me what you got. Cool. So I'm gonna switch over, and there's another sample pack one, I believe, from Van. So let me do some weird audio stuff to make sure everything is working the way I want it to. There we go. All right, so this is another sample pack challenge from Van. And again, let me know if the audio is too quiet or too loud or anything like that. I'm trying to keep track of all the levels. how I figured out the gimmick. Is the gimmick the beat repeat and exploring everything about the beat repeat? If not, I'm not sure what you mean then. This is a cool track. I really like glitchy, weird sounds, and I think this song does that pretty well. However, I have a few ways that I think you could maybe play around with this and tweak it a little bit. Number one, I feel like you kind of just right out of the gate hit us with a bunch of. Oh, I didn't notice it was in 5/4. How's no beat repeat? It sounds a lot like beat repeat, but you're doing a lot of cool glitchy stuff in there, which I associate with beat repeat. So you kind of hit us right out of the gate with all the glitchy kind of weird stuff. I think it might be kind of cool to start off with some of the sounds being a little bit less glitchy, and then kind of over time they get more and more glitchy, so it kind of progresses the idea, especially during the intro. So if you start off the intro, that's just kind of that like plucked violin sound, and then like every once in a while there's like a weird glitch, and then they start happening more and more as time goes on. That could be a really cool way to kind of like ease the listener into it, as opposed to just like hitting them with a bunch of glitchy sounds right off the bat. And then like maybe occasionally during like a break section or something like that, you go back to just like the clean sound without all the glitches, just to kind of give it that little bit of contrast, which I think will help the song kind of grow and evolve really well. But other than that, the intro to me seemed a little. It needed a little bit more going on to it. I think once we kind of got into the like, main kind of beat section, I was with you. I was like, cool. I'm like, I can get into this. But I think the intro goes on for a long time, and it might need some other element in there to really help it kind of progress through the intro till you get to the section where everything kind of comes in. I'm not sure what that extra thing is, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of different directions you can go with it, and it could work out. And then once we kind of get in here, it shifts everything. And it goes this kind of like glitchy industrial techno kind of vibe, which I'm into. I think the biggest issue with kind of this section for me is I want there to be a little bit more percussive elements going on. Maybe not even necessarily like hi-hats, like using even like weird glitchy elements. Like I have a bunch of glitch drum racks that I've made. They're just a bunch of drum racks full of different like little clicks and pops and things like that. And those are really useful for creating interesting percussion that's not just your regular old standard hi-hats and cymbals and things like that. And that will mesh well with the other glitchy elements there, because I feel like the rhythm here, you have this kind of like driving, distorted kick drum. But I think having some percussive elements in between the kicks to give it a little bit more groove, give it a little bit more kind of style with the rhythm, I think could go really well. And I think that's really kind of the big thing this track is missing. Other than that, I really like this section. I like what you're doing with the snares. Yeah, and then I think we need like a little bit of a section again that goes to like less glitchy stuff, just so you can bring all the glitches back in for like the final section at the end. But yeah, those are the big things I was noticing. A little less glitches sometimes, a little special sauce on the intro, and a little bit more kind of percussive elements, glitchy or otherwise, during the main kind of beat section of the song. And I think those three things will really help the arrangement flow a lot better and make the whole thing kind of work together pretty well. You're also doing this thing where you're kind of like adding in, it sounds like you're adding in more distortion over time. I think you could even go farther with that potentially. I think you like by the time you get to the end, you could just like, this could just all be noise and distortion if you wanted to. And that might be a cool way to make it so the ending feels like, okay, we started one place that was a little glitchy, and then gradually over time it got more and more noisy, more and more distorted if you want. That's kind of optional though. Anyone else got any thoughts, feedback, comments, ideas, questions? Toss them in the chat. Also, I'm just going to keep reminding people, if you want to send me a song, the spreadsheet to send me a track is pinned up at the top of the chat. Also, if you want to hit the like button or any of that kind of stuff, that is also super useful. Sweet. Well, Love, I appreciate you popping by and sending in your sample pack challenge. I definitely want to hear you keep working on it, though. There is such a thing as too much distortion, Van, but it's not very common. And I think distortion as a tool for conveying emotion is a really interesting thing that a lot of people don't realize is it can actually be really powerful. So I think distortion for distortion's sake can be cool or cannot be cool. But I think if you're using distortion to develop the emotionality of your song, that's a really cool thing to look into. Cool. All right. Sweet. So I believe, as far as I can tell, those are all the sample pack challenges I got this month. So we're gonna head over and just try to knock out the rest of the songs on the spreadsheet. Some of these are from last week, ones I didn't get around to. But if you would like to submit a track, again, spreadsheet is pinned up at the top. Let me get this out of here. And again, we're only going to be doing one song per person until we get through all of them, and then we'll go through and get to more of them. So this is a track from Janef that we'll be taking a listen to next. Nice. Sounds really good to me. Uh, Definitely the vibe of a lot of your tracks that you've been sending recently has been like really on point. It just like, as people were saying in the chat, that like makes you want to take your socks off, just chill with the drink, and like just it's this really nice. It's happy, but not happy in a cheesy way, which I think is the issue with I think a lot of music that tries to be happy, is it becomes like forced happiness, and that's not cool. But this has this like it's chill and it feels good to listen to. So I'm digging that style a lot, and it seems like you're really kind of honing your voice in that kind of realm. Uh, it also sounds really clean. The mix sounds pretty polished to me. I think Van was mentioning about doing some panning, which I definitely agree with. But I think in terms of making everything sound good and sound high quality, it's sounding pretty solid to me. I think a lot of my feedback will depend a little bit on where you want to go with this. Are you going to be adding vocals to this? Or are you going to keep it instrumental? Like what the kind of like end product is you're looking at. But I think regardless of whether you put vocals on this or not, I feel like the one place this track needs the most, not necessarily work, but probably most variety, is the drums and the percussion. I love the rhythm you have. It sounds really good, and again, it nails that vibe that you're going for. But it doesn't seem like it changes a whole lot. Like once we get in here, yeah, it's just kind of the same rhythm that like again it has a really cool feel. But I want it to switch up a little bit. And you could use negative space by taking things out for a little bit. You could add in new elements. You could change up the rhythm of like the snare a little bit. I think there's a lot of different directions you could go with that. But I think right now it sounds like basically in the intro from here to here. And then like this is one really long A section where it's just like. And so I want it to change up a little bit more. And I want there to be very clear, like, okay, this is, I use a letter system to name all my sections. So like, here's the A section, and then here's the B section, which is different enough from the A section, but it also feels like something new. And then you can go back to A, or you can go to a C, or you can keep switching. I think right now it feels like one intro and then a really solid A section. The guy who taught me arrangement said that the basic minimum that you need for arrangement is an intro, an A section, a B section, and an outro. And if you have those 4 sections, then you have the start of an arrangement. And you can have more than that if you want, but anything less than that is not as interesting to listen to. So I feel like you got an intro and a really solid long A section here. And so creating a solid B section to be in contrast with that. And the A could be your verse and B could be your chorus or whatever. I think that'll make a huge difference. I definitely wouldn't mind a little bit more bass in here. The bass is there, but I think you could go a little more bassy with it. And that might be my just biased opinion in that a lot of the music I listen to has a lot of really loud bass in it, and that's kind of just naturally the direction I would go if it was my track. But if you're feeling comfortable with the level of the bass, I think it's fine to keep it where it's at. But yeah, I love all the melodic elements. They all go together really well. And again, like you have this really kind of cool, interesting vibe to it that I think fits the style of music that you're going for really well. But yeah, that's my big thing. Change up the percussion and get some more different sections going on. Sweet. I appreciate you sharing that. And then got the next track coming in a second. Again, anybody who is just joining us, feel free to click on the link that is pinned up at the top of the chat and you can go in there and you can send me your track, or you put the link in for your track, and I'll get to it as soon as possible. On top of that, if you are enjoying the stream or the feedback, or you're enjoying hanging out, feel free to hit the like button or whatever, any of that kind of stuff. So the track from Gontia. God, I'm so bad at pronouncing artist names. He's been sending a few tracks recently, and they've been really dope. I don't think he's in chat right now, but hopefully he'll be taking a listen to the stream later on at some point. Nice, just in time. Is that it? Is that the end? I was not ready for that to end there. Really solid track here. I'm gonna not have a whole lot of super critical feedback here because I think it's sounding pretty good to me. So let's talk about the things I really like first, which is basically everything in this song. The drums sound really solid. Not really much feedback on those. I think the rhythm sounded really good. I think your percussion sounded really good. Percussion might have been a tiny bit too loud, but very, very minimally. The synth work here, this track was a lot happier than a lot of your other tracks. A lot of your other tracks have like a bit of like a more darker kind of feel to it, and this one feels a bit more kind of, let's say, upbeat, but there's definitely has like a lighter aspect to it, which I think is interesting contrast to some of the other tracks you've sent in. Um, and then I love the way that it evolves too. I think your intro is still a little bit too long. This is something I've heard in a number of your tracks where you have these pretty long intros and then you kind of like reset for a build. I don't necessarily mind it in this case, but I think your intro could be a tiny bit shorter. But I felt like everything in the intro was really cool. And I really like the kind of like chimey metallic sounds you have in the background. The kind of almost like glockenspiel with a reverb on it kind of sound. It sounds really pretty. And I think without that one sound, I don't think the track would work. I think it sounds really good. So here's the reset. This part's great. Love the sound here. Yeah, I love that. Like in terms of house music, this like that bass line, those synths and the drums, like they work really well together. And I think the vocal chop you toss in here occasionally is also really strong. And I honestly think that this is probably my biggest piece of feedback is I want more of that vocal thing. Yeah, I agree with Bishop Martin there. Super tasteful vocal break. If you wanted to put more of those vocal breaks in there, I definitely wouldn't mind it. What's up, Michael? Welcome. I think the one thing that maybe you could do to improve this song is during some of the more kind of chill sections like this, have like another sound that makes the melody a little bit more clear. Like here I'm getting melodic elements, but it doesn't have like a like boom, this is the melody kind of thing. And that's true for a lot of the song. It's melodic, but it doesn't have like the melody that really ties the whole thing together. And I think that that would be useful to have in there. More horns sound great. Build sounds great. Yeah, and then I think the ending came as kind of a surprise to me. I'm not sure if you're planning on leaving it like that, where it just kind of ends. I kind of wanted there to be a little more to it, and I think in this style of music, you can definitely get away with having a longer arrangement. But if you like it like that, cool, go for it. It might be nice if you want to make a DJ's life easier to have a little outro, just so people can DJ in and out of the song. But I'm kind of in agreement with pretty much everything they're saying in chat, where it's sounding really good. Yeah, this is definitely like the kind of house music that I really like as well, which is also beneficial for me giving feedback to it. Yeah, I don't really have any super negative feedback here. I think it sounds really solid, and there's not much more I'd do to finish this up. I don't know if you're planning on, if you've already released this or you are planning on releasing it, but master this baby and then get this out into the world. But yeah, appreciate you sharing that. We got a track from Johnny. Again, keep in mind, if you are just joining us or you're new to the stream, welcome. You are more than welcome to share any song that you are working on. Just follow the link that is pinned up at the top of the chat. Vlad, I don't think you need a good vocal, I think you can take the vocal thing you already have in there, that little vocal chop, and just do different variations on that chop, or figuring out ways to put that in there a little bit more. I don't think you need to overdo it with more vocals on there. All right, here's a track from Johnny, which I believe is also from last week. Good, Jeanette. I'm glad you're learning. That's the whole point of the stream. For everybody to learn from each other and with each other.
Oh, well, guys, I've been dozing off. Need to get my shit together, I've been feeling lost. I don't know what's going on. Baby, I tried to write all my wrongs. Guys, I've been dozing off. Need to get my shit together, I've been feeling lost. I don't know what's going on. Baby, I tried to write all my wrongs. Saint Laurent choker, I'm a chain smoker. Gorilla glue up in this blunt, swear I'm never sober. I fill my cup until it runs over. She knows how to make me lose my composure. She shot me in the chest with a red dot. Don't know what went wrong while we fell off. Intrusive thoughts, I hate them all. I thought you were all mine, but I guess not. Oh, well, guys, I've been dozing off. Need to get my shit together, I've been feeling lost. I don't know what's going on. Baby, I tried to write all my wrongs. Guys, I've been dozing off. Need to get my shit together, I've been feeling lost. I don't know what's going on. Baby, I tried to write all my wrongs. Girl, you pick me up just to break me down, but I hate it when you're not around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clocks. I don't give up about anything anymore. Oh shit, it's another sad song. They be like, what's going on with John? What the fuck is he on? I've been losing my mind, I thought her love was gone. Oh, well, guys, I've been dozing off. Need to get my shit together, I've been feeling lost. I don't know what's going on. Baby, I tried to right all my wrongs.
Nice. I think, Johnny, if you're out there or you're watching this later, this is probably my favorite of the tracks that you have shared so far. The beat sounds really solid. The beat sounds super clean. I like especially this little break here in the middle. It's really pretty, and I think it layers well with the big kind of boomy 808 drum beat. So I think those two elements, it's simple, but it's effective. It's mostly just that melody and the drum beat, and that's all you really need to kind of support the vocals here. So I think in terms of the beat, I think what you have going on works. However, my big piece of feedback here is those 16th note hi-hats get very repetitive. It just kind of straight 16th notes the whole way through. Occasionally you drop them out for a 16th note or two. I don't know what's going on, baby. So I think a little bit more variety there. Speeding it up, slowing it down, getting rid of them a bunch, changing different kinds of hats, put a little groove on there, put a little swing on there. That's the big thing that I think will make the beat really gel together. Other than that, yeah, I think the vocals, it's a very stylistic choice you're making here with how the vocals are working. All right, it's giving me a message saying chat disconnected. I don't know if that's something on my end or what's going on there, but hopefully you guys are still out there. But yeah, I think the vocals, I think they sound pretty good. I think again, it's a stylistic choice you're making, and I think you're going hard into that style, and it's working. Okay, looks like chat's back. 4, 5, 6 clocks. I don't in my mind. I thought her love was gone. I tried to right all my wrongs. Saint Laurent choker. I think you could probably compress the vocals a bit more. I think especially when you're doing these kind of one vocal line right into the next one, sometimes the volume dips a little bit. So maybe compress your vocal group a little bit more, and you might want to EQ the vocals a little tighter. Sometimes they sound a little dirty, just with like a few extra frequencies in there. But vocals, I think, are sounding pretty solid. Just a little more compression, maybe a little bit more EQing, and I think that would really help dial them in. But yeah, it's a cool track. I like the. Is this Johnny Cash getting arrested? That's what it looks like. I think that's a cool image for your song. I'm gonna start grading you guys on your whatever images you have in your SoundCloud. Yeah, I agree with Van. A little more like maybe some like syncopated hi-hats or little something in the hi-hats, I think is what this track is missing in a big way. All right. Cool. We got another track here. From Transient. So go ahead and listen to this. Again, thank you. I say this usually at the end of stream, but just in case anybody's here and it's not in the stream, I appreciate all you guys showing up on a Friday, sending me tracks, having really cool songs for me to listen to, giving other people feedback. That's what makes the whole thing really worthwhile. I see there's a number of people in chat who have not sent me a track either today or just not recently. Let me hear what you got. I want to hear what you guys are working on. Bishop Martin, this is you. My internet died. I'm pausing this for a second. I paused it because my internet was freaking out. Yeah. No worries. I'm gonna restart it just because my internet was being weird. Should be good to go now. Stream is having trouble again. I'm gonna give it a second for my internet to stabilize. You can see the internet dying and coming back to me. I'm gonna give this a second before I start getting my feedback. All right, I think my internet's back. Cool. So apparently this track was made using 100% resampling Ableton's vinyl distortion through different chain effects, which is a super cool concept for making a track. I never would have guessed that had you not told me that. I wasn't sure how you made a lot of those sounds. So yeah, this is a cool track. I think that this honestly reminds me a lot of like Muslim Gauze, who, if you don't know, is like a super important, influential producer, who did a lot of like noise music that was also heavily influenced by Middle Eastern music, or sometimes it was just Middle Eastern music with like a sprinkle of like weird noise music in there. But definitely has those kind of like Muslim Gauze kind of vibes to it, which is really cool. One of my favorite artists. I do feel like I want the track to evolve a little bit. I think the concept is really cool, and I think even the delivery is actually really cool. I actually really enjoyed listening to it. But I do think I wanted to change and kind of become something else over time. And that way you can stick with the kind of like experimentalness of this. They kind of like stick to your own like personality and your own artistic voice, but also sorry, I'm getting distracted by chat while I'm trying to talk. But also have a song that changes over time and actually has an arrangement to it, right? So like when you're doing experimental music, you kind of have to pick your battles, right? Like where are you going to push the boundaries and where are you going to play by the rules? And I think in a song like this, you're pushing the boundaries in a lot of different ways in terms of sound design, in terms of how you're making the things. But I think that where you might want to play by the rules a little bit more is having an arrangement where it has like intro, again, like what we were talking about earlier with Janeff's track, intro, A section, B section, C section, etc. So yeah, I think that'll make a big difference. And I think there's lots of ways you can do that. You could have different sets of effects for different sections. You could have the rhythm change for different sections. I think there's a lot of different directions you could go with it. Will, are you asking about Muslim Gauze? It's Muslim, like the Muslim, and then I think Gauze, Muslim Gauze. Definitely worth checking out. Autechre also definitely has I never know how to say it, whether it's Autechre or Autechre. Those kind of vibes for sure. Big into those dudes. And just that kind of like weird, trippy IDM experimental stuff. And it definitely feels like you're headed down that pathway. Yeah, I don't even think it needs comprehensibility. I think it just needs variety. It just needs to change over time. If you are going to go like the Autechre route with it, like little things change over time. So they have these like 8 or 9 minute songs, and it's Autechre. Who knows? Everybody I talk to pronounces it differently, but they have these really long arrangements. But little things change over time consistently in order to keep the arrangement interesting. And it's like those little subtle things that change are what makes the arrangement interesting. So it doesn't need to be really traditional arrangement structure. It just needs to be little things changing over time, things coming in, things coming out, new effects, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But yeah, it's a cool track. I think that I think it's important that as you're kind of like putting together tracks like this, to really trust your instincts. And if you are digging it and you're feeling it, just like go for it. And a lot of times you can kind of like fall down those rabbit holes, and it can take you really interesting places. And that's one of the cool things about this kind of music. And it's one of the reasons I like listening to this kind of music, is you get like to explore and hear things that you don't normally hear. All right, I'm just calling it alt track here from now on. That's officially what I'm calling them. Sweet. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. I think you mentioned something in Discord, but I haven't had a chance to check Discord in the last couple of days. But I'm planning on getting back to you, hopefully soon. Maybe you're just posting this track. All right. And then next one was from Van, but we already listened to one from Van, so I'm gonna jump ahead to the next person. Who sent this to me? Splorch Selector. You sent me a track, but on Google Drive, but I need access to it. So you need to set it up so that anybody with the link can listen to it. If you want to do that, and I don't know if you're still in chat or not, but let me know when you do that. And I will take a listen to it. Cool. Well, in that case, we are going to go back to Van's other track, and this song, I guess, is 30 years old. It's almost as old as I am, and he's remastering it, I believe, is what's going on here. So, I guess you're looking for feedback on the remaster. Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, Van, let me know if there's anything specific beyond just your remastering here, and want some feedback on it.
Hi, call me Rebecca. Hi, call me Rebecca.
Could you repeat it? Begin again.
Hi, Rebecca. Hi, call me Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. Hi,
What do you want here?
call me Rebecca.
Yo, could you repeat it? Because I can't believe my fucking ears.
Life or lust, or was it love? Life or lust,
So you don't have the stems; you only have the master. Is that what's going on?
life, lust, lust, love, love. He hasn't got a clue.
Yo, could you repeat it? Because I can't believe my fucking ears.
So yeah, so if you only have access to the master track here, it's going to be pretty limiting in terms of what you can do. If you had the stems, there's I think a lot of cool stuff you could do with this to kind of update it. And so I think if you're going to be going through remastering it, I'm assuming you're going to be either using like Ozone or RX or some combination of isotope things to do this. There's a few things you can do, but it's not going to be that impactful, I don't think, besides like very minor amounts. The thing that I'm noticing that you can definitely do is your high frequencies are just way too bright. They're just taking up all the room in the mix and they're just distracting from everything. So especially your hats and things like that. They're just like, they're super huge. So tone down those high frequencies pretty significantly and probably boost the mid frequencies a bit as well. Right now, especially during this section here, as we're kind of crescendoing, all of the vocal samples and the melodic elements are in that mid range, and they're just getting demolished by those high frequencies. So yeah, if you can tone those highs down quite a bit, I think, especially anything over like 8 or 10K, you can definitely like, go pretty far down on this. And then I feel like the kick is audible, but it doesn't have a lot of clarity to it. And so I think if you want to add some clarity to your kick, you want to boost very specifically where on like the kind of punchiness of that kick, which if you're using kind of like 808s like this, is probably going to be right around 100 hertz or a little bit above 100 hertz, like 100 to 120-ish, give or take. Boost that specifically, and that will hopefully, try it out, see how it works. But hopefully it'll make the impact of the kick stick out a little bit more. Because I think the low end of the kick could use a tiny bit of a boost, but the impact is what you really want. So try to see if you can isolate, do like the hunt and kill method, or to identify where that kick is really hitting, and then try to boost that. And then the mids probably need a boost, especially where those vocal samples are. I think throughout the entire track, even the intro, they're just too quiet. So I think saturating or boosting the mids, if you can, will make a pretty big difference. But yeah, I think those are going to be the main three things that you can do here. It's not going to be, night and day. It's not going to like totally revitalize the song. It'll probably make a difference, and it'll probably sound a little cleaner. But it's not likely to make a huge difference unless you can, get the stem somehow, which it sounds like that's not really an option. Yeah, or you can do what Bishop is saying and resample your own song and kind of recontextualize it. That could be kind of cool. But yeah, I think if you had the option for the stems, there's a bunch of things you could do to the mix that would like make a huge difference, and that would be super cool. But make the vocals stick out a bit more, turn those hats way down, and then what's it called? Oh, you know what you should try actually? This may or may not work for you, but there's a Max for Live device that will take a song and it will split it into stems. And it's basically magic. It's called Splitter. Let me see if I can find the link for it. No, how do you spell it? Yeah, this is what you're looking for. A friend of mine invented this, and it's crazy. Yeah, Mr. Bill has a video about this. It's worth checking out, and it's a pain in the ass to get set up and make it all work. However, once you get it working, it's pretty cool. OTT is a multi-band, well, it's either a third-party plugin or it's a multi-band dynamics preset that stands for over the top that everybody just puts on everything to make it sound really loud. But yeah, if you really wanted to like go back in here and play around with it some more, download this Max for Live device, play around with it, see what you can do to it, and this will split it into 4 different stems. I think you'll get drums, vocals, bass, and then everything else. And that could be enough for you to actually remix this and actually like put some interesting effort into switching things around and could make your life a lot easier. It's not perfect. It sometimes doesn't sound like great when you do that. But it'll be so much easier than trying to remaster the whole thing. But yeah, download this thing. You can get it for $1 or for free, I think, if you want. It is a pain in the ass to set up, like I mentioned, but it's pretty cool. But just search for Spleeter Max for Live device and try that. And if you are confused about it, Mr. Bill has a video on this that is worth checking out. But that could make your life a lot easier. All right. Now we got the track. I think this is Michael, if I'm not correct. Or if I am correct. Yep, that's Spleeter.
I'll show you where we'll go. Deep enough, you'll find me in the lows.
What are these vocals? Where do these vocals come from?
Submit. Here we go. Submit.
Really? The vocals sound sick.
Here we go. Submit. Here we go. Submit. Submit.
Yeah, there is a little Benny Benassi in this a little bit. That's a sick track. I really like it. Definitely has this kind of like almost kind of like a G house kind of vibe to it. It's like it's super cool. I think there's a few things that are holding it back though, and they're very specific things, and I think they're all very easily fixable to make this track really awesome. So number one, the intro crushes it. Love this. Love the little like wind chime to start off with the pad. These vocals are great. These vocals might be my favorite thing in the whole track, just like the vocals right here. So I think more of these vocals somewhere in the song. I don't care where. It could be in the little break section in the middle. It could be during the last verse section. It could be during the outro. It's just they sound really cool, and I really like them, and I think that they deserve more attention or more spotlight.
We'll go.
Like those harmonies are great.
Deep enough.
All right, and then we get into this section here. I like the little descending bass line.
Submit.
All right, so you have the word submit, and then the synth line comes in, which is great. Dig in that. However, this section, I think there's two big issues. Issue number one is that this synth line needs to be way higher. It needs to bring the energy in a really big way, and it's kind of doing it, but it's like it's 70% of the energy, and I need it to be like 90 to 95. And so there's a lot of different ways you could like add energy to this. You could layer it up with more synthesizers. You could make the rhythm a little bit faster. I think just in terms of, you can make it louder in the mix. Just in terms of sound design, you can make it a little bit more high frequency or more aggressive. And I think that that will make a big, big difference here, because I feel like once we get in here, like, okay, now it's like, it's time to dance. So yeah, needs to be louder for sure. Needs to be more aggressive. This part sounds cool. I like this.
Submit.
And then issue number two I have with this section is the overuse of the word submit. I think it was really cool as a way to like, okay, there's that word, and then we go into the synth line, and then it gets recycled a little bit too often. I think later on in the song, once you get to like 3 minutes in, you do a bunch of really cool stuff with the word submit, where it's like it's bouncing around and it's like you're chopping it up more and it's doing interesting stuff. But during this section, I feel like it's just too much of that one word. And so this would be a good situation to maybe take the vocal line at the beginning and chop that up and splice that in there. So instead of just getting the word submit over and over again, we're getting like either different words or even different vocal harmonies or different things in there, just to make it a little more diverse. Yeah, some saturation would definitely help on that. Yeah, so this needs to be, again, super energetic.
Here we go.
I actually like that break a lot.
Submit.
Yeah, and this is where the word submit really kind of starts to lose its value. It's just not doing enough interesting things for me to like focus on that as like a main center of attention for this track. But then I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. This part's cool. Love this. This part's kind of weird, but it's also kind of cool. And I like how you kind of switch to like here's another thing you might want to do. Maybe have the first beat section be the funk guitar and have the next section be the hyphy synth. And that way it feels like the energy level goes up. But I like the guitar a lot. I think it works really well. And then once we get into this kind of section over here, once the submit vocals come back in, I think the word submit works here because you're doing more with it. Whereas in the first section, it's just kind of the same thing over and over again. At least that's the way it felt. Yeah, love this part. I think it would be cool if there was a way to integrate a section that included both the guitar and the synth together. Right now, they're both there's the beat section number 1 and there's beat section number 2. One is just the synth plus the vocals, and one is guitar plus the vocals. And the guitar and the synth never really meet each other. They never happen at the same time. It'd be cool if there was a way to integrate those two together. I'm not sure if they sound good together. Maybe they just don't mesh at all. But hold on, my dog is trying to get in because there's thunder outside. Give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. What was I saying here? Yeah, the synth part and the guitar part, if the two could work together and live together in the same section, that'd be super cool, and I would not mind that. But yeah, other than that, I love this section. It sounds really cool. Yeah, I think the end's cool too. But yeah, I think the vocals here are very strong, and I think that maybe getting her to sing like another verse on there, or just getting some more of those vocal harmonies in there, I think that those work really well. And it seems like people in chat have different opinions about what you should do with the synth. I think it's totally up to you either way. But yeah, that's a cool track. It sounds really solid. The beat sounds really good. Bass line sounds really good. I wouldn't mind if the bass line switched up a little bit, but I'm not super worried about that. Cool. Any other thoughts, feedback, ideas? Awesome. All right, and then we got 3 Google Drive ones that are those the same one? It looks like these are ones I've done before. Why did somebody copy and paste them around? I'm gonna check some things real quick. It looks like we've had some crazy things going on in the spreadsheet. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that. All right, we got a track here from Bmart. Bishop, it looks like you added the same one again. It was called this. It had the same name, so I deleted it. So maybe you want to add it back in there. All right. Got a track. This is from Bmart, I guess. Bmart, if you're in a chat, welcome. Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a vibe change from the last track. Yeah, this is super dark. I think that's the end. Yeah. Interesting. We haven't had like a pure noise track on the stream for a while, I don't think. Yeah, this is the kind of music that I actually really enjoy, but I so really rarely often get to listen to it. Oh, this is Bishop. This is you again. Yeah, it definitely has this kind of, I mean, dark ambient is the way to describe it. I think that as far as feedback, I kind of want there to be some sounds that kind of stick out of the noise a little bit more. I think right now it's just kind of just like this washy ambient space where everything is kind of like floating in static, which is I think a really cool direction, a really cool vibe. But one of the things that makes tracks in this genre stick out to me is something that makes it memorable, something that makes it different and stand out a little bit. And you know, in a lot of music, the thing that makes it memorable is the melody. But in noise music, you don't often have that. So I feel like either like a sample of somebody talking could be really cool, even if it's kind of like mumbling in the background and it's kind of distant and far away, um, or some kind of semi-traditional instrumentation, either just a couple notes being plucked on like a weird instrument. I don't know, something that will make me like remember this if I were to listen to this in a playlist of dark ambient tracks. I think would be really cool. Um, yeah, I heard that there's some like human-esque noises in the background, but they're very nondescript and they're very like unidentifiable. And so I think that again, like things that will make it stand out work really well for this kind of music. Yeah, even some distant ugly notes. Like if you listen to like some John Cage, like in a landscape kind of situation where it's like he's using a lot of like noise and static and distant things, but occasionally he'll like have somebody like pluck a violin a couple times in a row, and that kind of thing can totally work. Yeah, like just even like a weird discordant chord, like just like you know hit your face on the MIDI keyboard on while it's playing a piano, and just like okay, there's a bunch of notes in there or something like that. Yeah, I think it just needs something to identify it to me as like if I listen to the song, what will make me recognize it as something I've heard before. That could be super cool. I think vocal samples work really well, and they can be really distorted, reverbed out vocal samples. Something to just kind of give it that little bit of character, I think could be really helpful. Other than that, I think in terms of like mix and everything that's in here, it all works really well. Like it does create this like very Resident Evil, you know, dark space. It's very like it has a very visual element to me that I think works really well. Other than that, yeah, I think it just needs some sounds that stick out of the noise a little bit more. That's the big thing I think I'm missing. Yeah, I mean, I started making electronic music, just making noise music. Like I lived in Japan for a while, and the noise experimental music scene out there is super cool. So you brought your tracks to the right place, because this is definitely something I probably have a lot of experience in, is just listening to weird noise music. Yeah, like when I think about like some of my favorite noise music albums, like um, Boris and Merzbow, Sunbaked Snow Cave, fantastic album. It's one song, it's an hour long, and it's guitar and noise, and the guitar really makes the note like the two of them carry each other, and that's what I think when a lot of experimental noise music uh, works really well, is that uh, when you have something, again, kind of like we talked about with your last track, something traditional that people can latch onto and understand musically, and then you also bring in something else. Nice. I haven't listened to Masona in a long time, but I used to listen to a lot of Masona. But if you haven't listened to the Boris and Merzbow collaboration albums, everything they do together, I think, is brilliant. I also haven't listened to Deerhoof in a really long time. All right. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other feedback for this, but sometimes with this kind of music, it's hard to give feedback because it's so much based off of your own creativity and your own kind of like taking things in interesting directions your own way. Some of the new Boris I haven't been as into, but I also haven't listened to a whole lot yet. But Boris is one of my favorite bands of all time. Probably my favorite band of all time. All right. And then this is another track from Gonita. Gontia? I keep on saying Gonita. Gontia. It's labeled the same as the one we listened to before, so it may be the same track we've already listened to. Yeah, I'll put some links in the Discord. I was also thinking about sometime either doing like music, like album review videos for the channel. Just be like, these are albums I really like that I think are cool that people don't know about, and just doing that as another kind of video I do for the channel, or doing it during a live stream or something, which I think would be fun. Yeah, so this may be the same track or maybe a different track from before. We'll take a listen to it. No, that didn't work. Never mind. So I think with that, we're all caught up. I think we've gotten to every song that's on the spreadsheet. If you want to send me a song, now would be the time to do it. Because not only will listen to it right away, but I'm only going to be here for a little bit longer. Oh, all right, new link. Let's try it. All right, this one looks like it works. Jeff, I thought we already did one of yours. Oh, you sent a different one. Okay, Jeanette's got a second one in there. I see it. Another really solid track. Vlad, I, again, don't have a huge amount of feedback here. I think everything sounds really solid. It sounds like a really polished house track. I do feel like, again, one of the consistent things I'm hearing in a lot of your tracks is the sound design is good, but if you bumped it up a couple notches, I think it would make a big difference. I think that's one of the, like, your sound design and then occasionally arrangements are like the only like two things really kind of holding you back here. It's especially noticeable in the first bass line. This bass line here is really cool, but it could be a lot bigger. And when I say bigger, I mean both louder and also just more frequencies in there. So make friends with the saturator, or any saturator really. FabFilter Saturn is excellent at this kind of thing. Just like taking a bass line like this that sounds good and running it through the saturator to really like bring it up quite a bit. And I think that'll make such a big difference on a lot of your sound design. So that kind of thing, that kind of processing on a lot of your synth sounds, I think will be really really important, especially your bass lines here. Like, this sounds cool, but that bass needs to be way bigger. And then I also noticed that later on, this melody line here also sounds really cool, but also could sound bigger. And yeah, if you have Saturn, which it sounds like you do, yeah, make friends with Saturn. You should learn Saturn inside and out, and that way you can like take any sound you have that sounds good. Like, these all sound good, and that's the thing. They all sound solid, but running them through a saturator to really bring out a lot of, especially the mid frequencies in a lot of these sounds, will make a huge difference. Yeah, Bishop, if you want to send me a track, if we have time at the end here, I might be able to do it. Or you could also just put in the Discord as was mentioned, and I'll try to check it out. But yeah, those two sounds in particular, the bass sound from before, and then this synth here. And the background one too. Yeah, pretty much any one of the sounds that is big and important in your song, run it through Saturn or something similar, and tweak all the settings, play with the different presets. There's a lot of great presets in things like Saturn, and that'll bring out a lot of that sound design in a way that I think will make it sound a bit more rich and a bit more full without having to do any hardcore sound design on it. I think that'll make a big difference. But other than that, I honestly don't really have anything critical to say about this track. I really like the vocals too. I think it is a really tasteful use of vocals. The vocals are not too overpowering. They don't like steal the show from any of the other synths or anything like that. They complement the song in a way that is subtle but noticeable, and it's the way I like vocals in a track. So solid work on that. But yeah, chat, you guys got any thoughts on this? Anything else? Yeah, Janef, you don't necessarily need Saturn. Almost any saturator will do. The saturator that is in live is also excellent. But if you want a third-party plugin that just kind of like a one-stop shop for saturation, Saturn's a really got solid plugin. All right. I believe this is now the last track. This is Janef's track. The last one was Gontia. Cool. This seems like it's something you just started working on. Everything here sounds cool. It's kind of a different part of the world. It seems like you're drawing influence from. It has like a kind of like Asian vibe. It sounds like a koto going on, or something like that. There's a little bit of raspiness with this vocal. There's like a little bit of I don't know. There's like some high frequencies in here that I don't think I want to be there. Yeah, so I would probably try to EQ, like try to isolate those high frequencies and EQ those out a little bit. It's not too big of a deal, but just everything else in your mix is so clean that that little bit of harshness on the vocals sticks out a little bit to me. So I would try to take care of that. Yeah, I'll play it from the beginning here. Yeah, you need a big beat to come in. That's the thing that's missing. So yeah, I like the use of the piano and the koto, I guess it is, whatever string instrument you're using for that. I think those two mix together really well. And oh my god, I keep getting distracted by chat. So not all the vocals have that harshness in them. The vocal here sounds fine. But the pitched vocals have like a weird raspiness to them that you need to work out. But yeah, you need to hit them with the drum beat right after this section. This is like a really nice intro to me. But like, I personally want you to come in with a big groovy beat right after this section and just like bring it and make it really dancey. That might not be the direction you want to go with it. You might want to keep this really kind of chill and mellow and not super rhythmic. But if it were up to me, I would definitely toss a beat in here and like make this a really funky tune and just use this as kind of like the intro. And you got a lot of nice elements in here. Like your sense of melody is really, really strong, and I think it works really well. Yeah, you could either de-ess the vocals, or I would probably just grab an EQ and toss it in there. But yeah, I think it's a solid start. I think again, melodically and in that regard, it seems really solid. Sweet. Chat, you got any other thoughts, feedback, questions, comments, ideas? Yeah, I want to start doing things where people send each other tracks, where it's like, okay, some person works on a track and then sends it to somebody else, and then you guys send me that track, and then we take a listen to it. Just so we get weird combinations like Martin and Janef, and see what happens when you combine those two styles. I think that's actually a really fun thing to do. Because I can't think of two styles that are more different than Bishop and Janef in terms of what they're doing. But both are doing it really well, which is cool. Yeah, if you guys want just some free unsolicited advice, one of the best ways to get better at making music is collaboration. 100%. Like, find people that have different skill sets than you, have different ways of approaching music, and when you collaborate, you learn all kinds of secrets to their process and things that you never would have thought of. Not only do you get a song that sounds really cool at the end of it, hopefully, usually, but you just like, as a learning experience, collaboration is hands down one of the best things you can do. So reach out to people, reach out to other people in the chat or in the Discord or whatever, and be like, hey, that that's a great way to not only like build connections and community around music, but also just become a better music producer because you could be working on something and then they come back with like, here, there's this beat that I added to your track, and you're like, well, how did you do this? Like, what was the process around making this beat? And you can learn a lot from that kind of thing. Yeah, Janef, next week you have to make a scary track. That's your homework. Cool. Well, I think that is all of the tracks that I have received. We got through everything today, which is great. I will be back on Tuesday for another Hangout music production stream. Join me for that. And then next Friday, again, song feedback stream. If you would like to submit a song early, you can do that anytime during the week. Through the Discord, the spreadsheet is always there. You can just click on the link and just toss in your song, and that way you'll be at the top of the list for next week. On top of that, I will probably not do a sample pack challenge next month, just because August is going to be kind of busy for me. I might start doing them like every other month. We'll kind of see how it goes. Yeah, you can send me any genre you want. Just click on the link up at the top and toss your track in there, pinned up at the top of the chat. So I probably won't do a sample pack next month, but I'll probably come back in September with another sample pack and we'll do it again then. So through August, just work on whatever you want. Send me it whenever you're working on it. On top of that, we are getting pretty close to hitting 2,000 subscribers on the channel, which I'm like super stoked about. I'm trying to figure out what kind of special thing I can do for that as to celebrate it. I was thinking about maybe doing, whenever I hit 2,000, doing like a stream every day for a week, or maybe doing like, I don't know, 4 streams in a row or something like that. I don't know, extra long stream, who knows what it is. But if you have ideas for things that that I could do to kind of celebrate hitting 2,000 subscribers, let me know, and encourage all of your friends and family to subscribe, because I want subscribers. Yeah, Van, if you come up with your own sample pack, pop that in the Discord, and I would not mind taking a listen to it. But yeah, other than that, I appreciate everybody popping by and hanging out with me and all the feedback. I like that there's been like a regular crew of people who keep showing up. That's super awesome. That makes me really excited. I unfortunately did not finish mine. I started working on it Tuesday, and I got super busy the last couple of days. Yeah, eventually I can do a DJ set with you guys' tracks. That'd be sick. Because I have to send me a lot of tracks just because I like being able to like switch around between different genres. Honestly, some of the tracks you guys send me, I probably can't fit in DJ mix. It just wouldn't work. But that'd be a cool celebration. Okay, yeah, Loss. Every Friday I'm here. 5 to 7 Mountain Time, usually thereabouts. But yeah, feel free to send me a track anytime you guys want, and I'll see you in the Discord. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. I'm gonna call it for tonight. Thanks to everybody who shared their tracks. Really awesome tracks. Love hearing the diversity of tracks people are making. It's good to get some noise music in here, as well as a bunch of house music and hip hop and all the other stuff you guys are working on, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, Van, that I understand. But yeah, if you guys have any ideas for other things I can do for 2,000 subscribers, let me know, and I'll try to figure it out. But yeah, I'm leaning towards doing like either one really long stream or a bunch of streams like every day in a row for a couple of days, but we'll see. All right, that's it. Have a good weekend. Work on some music, make some tracks, and I'll see you guys hopefully on Tuesday or perhaps next Friday. Thanks, Bishop. Appreciate it. I've got some new songs that I might be releasing. I have an album that I've been sitting on for a while that I might just pop out into the wild. So we'll see. I haven't decided how I'm going to release it yet. All right. Have a good night, everybody, or evening, or morning, or whatever time it is, wherever you are.